Hello, everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Tracy McFarland. I'm the Director of Professional Education with Dental Monitoring. And first of all, we would like to thank Dr. Kathleen Pale for inviting us to host tonight's My Ortho's Master Series webinar with Dr. Josh Adcox. We're so happy that you've actually chosen to join us tonight. Dr. Adcox is going to share how scaling with remote monitoring platform has been career and life altering for him. Dr. Adcox practices out of Harker Heights, Texas, where he is an American Board of Orthodontists certified orthodontist and a member of the American Association of Orthodontists. Dr. Adcox is also the director of remote care for Smile Doctors, where he has established his reputation as a dedicated and caring orthodontist known for his strong work ethic and, of course, his patient-centered care. And without ado, Dr. Josh Adcox.
Tracy, you're so kind. I think we need to rewrite that because it sounds corny, but you read it perfect. Isn't Tracy wonderful? If you interact with Tracy, you just know how warm-hearted she is. She lights my day up every time I get to interact with. Thank you, Tracy. You're so kind. And all those things don't mean that, you know the routine. We do those just because we have to. I'm an orthodontist and I love what I do. And above all else, I love people and I love relationships. And that's what we do. In fact, I had some great experiences today in clinic that I may share one or two if we get to them, but because it was unplanned. But I have a great presentation for you today that's heartfelt. That's from right here for you, and how dental monitoring specifically has helped me become a better version of myself. You'll notice right here this photograph is of the old school scan box. The story behind this is actually my father. His name's Dan, and my dad has taught me a lot in my life, and he allowed me. And even if you get a 65-year-old to use a scan box, right? He barely knows how to use a cell phone well. You can get anybody to use a scan box. My dad's a little bit technology handicapped, and he knows it. But we got his teeth straight afar in Arizona. I live here in Texas, and but look, my dad taught me something very valuable. Looking back, there's a specific moment that will ever be imprinted into my memory, and it was when I was 10 years old. He was taking me over to visit my cousins. We had go-karts, and so me and my cousin Jeremy, we were basically twins. We were the same age, and we would rip around on our go-karts. My dad was taking me over to my cousin's house. Well, if you go anywhere with my dad, you know that it's going to be an extra hour conversation or visit to a grocery store, the post office, wherever we would go. He knows no strangers. And so there's this particular widow in town who he kind of cared for. He would visit her often, usually monthly, and would make sure she was being taken care of. She didn't have any family nearby. And on our way, we drive by Donna's house. That's her name, Donna. And Donna happened to be out on the front porch. And I see my dad kind of look over his shoulder as we drive by, and he slows down. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, ooh, do not turn around, Dad. We're going to be there for at least an hour or two. And I want to go to my cousin's to ride the go-karts. And he turns around and we go to Donna's house. And he parks and he looks over at me and he says, why don't you come with me? Well, knowing that he's going to be an extra hour probably that I'm with him. And I reluctantly went. And in the back of my mind, I'm frustrated. I'm kind of mad. I'm a 10-year-old boy. And we approached Donna on her porch, and she had been crying. And she had just found out moments before, got off the phone, that she had a family member pass away. And she had nobody there to help console her and be with her because she was alone in this town. And I got to sit there with my father for, I don't remember how long, but I got to hear him care for her by letting her talk and making her feel seen and heard. And I'll never forget it, how it made me feel being a part of that in that experience. And he taught me that people matter, and how you treat people matters, and how you care for them. And so this is that awesome smile. My dad let me straighten his teeth. he had thrown gang signs around there for the longest time. And he's the type that always goes without. And he finally let me treat him. And it was neat because it was only 3 visits through dental monitoring, even in a state away. But I love my father for that moment. And I'll never forget it. And he's helped me. And I strive to be a man like he is. And to this day, as we visit the town we used to live in, because he's since moved away, guess who he visits every time? He visits Donna. And she's still, they're very good friends to this day, and he knows how to care for others. And that's what I want to talk about, is the word care. And I went to the Dental Monitoring Summit this spring, and that story is what reminded me when I heard Todd Williams speak. He speaks on behalf of, or he works on behalf of the Four Seasons and the hospitality aspect of the business. And he spoke on this word, like us as orthodontists, we have this standard of care that we have to deliver, right? It's standard, right? We want to make sure we have quality finishes. We take care of people. We see them on time. We do what we say we're going to do. We take an oath that we're going to do no harm, right? And same thing with our team. Well, what about the word care in the verb sense? And this is what was impactful. And this is what made me remember of Donna and the story of my father. Todd Williams then began to help us understand that, look, people don't want to always be patients. We became doctors. We spent 10 plus years doing it, right? And patients sometimes don't want to meet us at that level. We talk all this crazy talk, upper right 2 needs a distal root tip and all those different things, right? And it's confusing. But when you sit down and you actually connect with people as a human to human person, those beings like my dad did, by listening, making sure Donna felt seen and heard, that's how you care for people. And so what we're also going to talk about today is how you do that remotely. I'm going to backtrack a little bit to 2019. If any of you run a busy clinic, you know that seeing anything over 130 plus patients on a single doctor is very, very time consuming and difficult. Well, there were times in my career that we were mostly braces, and I took this snapshot. This was a more busy day than normal, but that day we saw 173 appointments. And it felt like this. You ever been to Chuck E. Cheese and you're constantly hitting the whack-a-mole, right? It's that light bar. You hit one down, another pops up. And that is how your day goes. It's a revolver. And you can't get to each chair fast enough. And so you can't really sit down and connect with your patients or your team in a way that is truly caring for them in the verb sense. It's hard to do. You don't have the time. And you end up suffering from something called decision fatigue. You sit down, you're trying to make decision after decision, make sure you're looking at everything, make sure there's no recession, that we're brushing well, there's nothing broken or loose, and that we're doing the rubber bands the right way. Or if you have bite ramps or turbos, all these things going on, right? Every single patient over and over and over again, answering all the questions from the mother or the dad or whatever. And then you're answering all the questions from the front desk, and the list goes on. Well, I got to a point where I was about to burn out. And when I hit 2020, the start of that year, January 2020, I was ready to throw in the towel, right? I'd been with Smile Doctors my whole career at that point. I joined right out of residency. And my mentor, Scott Law, I've been working with him in one of his original offices. And I just said, I need to make a change. I can't do this my whole career. And he's wise. He's been a fantastic mentor. He said, look, don't make any rash decisions. Mostly just didn't want me to leave and go somewhere else, right? You know what I'm talking about. And so I sat on it, and my wife, Jamie, and I made some decisions that, well, maybe it's me that needs to make some changes. And I came to this point that I just wasn't being a good father. I wasn't being a great husband. And I wasn't being a great boss, a good orthodontist to my team. And I wasn't the best I could be for my patients. I was doing quality work, but I wasn't truly caring for the people around me, taking action in that sense. And so, like any good orthodontist type A, right, we go and we seek knowledge in other locations, right? And I went on the self-help journey. And I read this book called Essentialism by Greg McGowan, and it was great. I really recommend it. He has another book called Effortless, but he talks about these principles of less is more, how to make things automated or effortless. He taught that you need to distinguish between the vital few things that are important and sift away the trivial many, and that decision fatigue is a real thing. You need to edit your daily life to take away non-essential decisions you need to make. And so you can focus on the people in front of you. And that really resonated to me. I'm like, that's exactly what I need. How do I do that? So I can show up with gas in the tank when I go home, be a better father, be a better husband, and have the energy at work to do more, right? Less is better. Well, like any overachiever, I want more. So I came up with this own mantra. I stole Greg's and I added the more. I want more. I want to grow my practice, but I want more great experiences with my family and friends and the people around me. But I want to do that on less stress, less effort, less decisions that are the trivial many. So everybody's experience is better. And so that's a motto I now live by and I work towards every day. And it's something that drives me, right? How can you do more with less, but make the experience better? So I actually polled a lot of our doctors as being the remote care clinical director in our group of what that actually means to them. And these are some of the answers that I got from this group of about 250 doctors. Everybody wants more time, family, more satisfaction, right? More of those things. And the bolds are the answers that people said the most of. What do you want less? Everybody wants less stress, problems, headaches, distractions, right? Somebody said repos. I do too. I wish I'd placed better, right? Everybody wants everything to be better. We want the patient experience to be better. We want balance. We want better relationships, teamwork, right? That's what we want in our work life. And so it was right around that time when, 2020, February, decided to make these changes. Well, guess what happens the very next month? COVID. You all know where you're at. You remember the exact moment. I took this photo the day quarantine started. I was in the office, no patients, feeling sorry for myself, wondering what the heck the future had in store. And I snapped this photo. I'll never forget it. An empty clinic. Did I know anybody was going to come back or not? I don't know. And the next day, I got an email saying, all of our locations in Smile Doctors, we'd had a relationship with DentalMonitoring already. We were piloting the product. I wasn't a pilot tester at that moment. I knew about the technology and I knew there was a ton of potential. And then overnight, DentalMonitoring implemented over 200 of our offices to be able to use the technology and connect with our patients. And I'll never forget those moments. These are some moments where we were connecting remotely, using the technology and connecting with people. And I realized something, that you can truly still care for people, but do it remotely. And there's no secret why we call this branch of our business remote care. And that's what I'm in charge of, to make sure that we are caring for our patients and doing a very good job, both clinically, but also connecting with people in the verb sense, that we are truly caring for them and their needs. And so COVID was that opportunity to test out what this technology could do. And so I made some absolutes with my team. I said, look, I don't want to see more than 80 patients a day. I think that's doing more than that for one provider is just too much. And I can't have the brain power and suffer from too much decision fatigue to do that well and still care for people. And my team bought into that. They said, great, yeah, we don't either. And the other second thing we said, to do it, we're going to need to do more Invisalign, because we were doing so many braces. We realized we were sitting ducks. We couldn't make any progress with our braces cases remotely. We could check on the hygiene and things like that, which was awesome, but we couldn't make progress. We'll talk more about how you can make progress with braces in a second. But at the time, that was our train of thought. So we said, great, let's increase share of chair aligner therapy. And then the other thing was, I don't want to work 5 days a week. I was doing that on 5 days a week, right? So let's decrease a day a week, because I want that better balance in my work life day to day. And my team said, great. And kind of some of their concerns were, well, what are we going to do on those extra moments and days? I said, don't worry, I'll make sure there's plenty for you to do. We just won't be seeing patients. Nobody's going to lose hours. So we went to work. We said, we gave everybody a scan box. We went all in, and everybody got a scan box. Braces, aligners, you name it. We just started to test, what can we offload? What can we offload to the AI, my virtual assistant, to take away the trivial many tasks to reduce our decision fatigue. I say our because it's not just me, it's my team as well. Our decision fatigue, so we can focus on the people in front of us. And this is one of the early cases that we started. So right after COVID, I had to get braces off a gentleman. Everybody, yeah, let me know if you can't see my screen anymore because I'm switching to this desktop version. So a mom comes in and says, "Oh, we gotta get these braces off. We're moving to Germany." I work in a military town, and so they're moving to Germany. And she's like, "I really wish my daughter and myself could have been treated by you." And I said, "Well, what if we still could?" And I explained to her, what if we do Invisalign, and what if we monitor you through this app called DentalMonitoring, and etc. And she's like, "Great." I was like, "Are you at least going to come home in the next year or two for a visit or whatever?" And she's like, "Yes, we'll be home next summer. I'll be a year away." I said, "Great. That's all I need." So we developed a plan for mom, and this is Mason, the daughter. And we gave them enough aligners to last for a year. And you can see the week over week progression. If you've not seen a desktop doctor view of dental monitoring, you'll notice a lot of things. We're not currently being monitored, so you won't see any of the sidebar aspects here, but you can see right here are the go or stay notifications, green and red to advance to each stage, the hygiene notifications, and if we're taking our scans on time. So reds mean we were a little bit late. And so we see the progress here. We kept her in this aligner because right at that stage, there was a noticeable unseat on the upper right 6. So we can kind of see that it wasn't seated all the way. What probably happened is we just didn't put it in well enough when we scanned. We kept her there a little longer. We kept moving along. We went all the way through for a whole year to stage 56, and we got some great results here. And if you ever wonder if your overcorrection of your overbite correction with Invisalign works, there you go. We get back and you can see this gap. We get back to the States. I see her, we take off all the attachments and I mail a few additional aligners. You can kind of see these on. And we just did some settling. We improved that reverse curve that I created and kind of got some settling in here and moved along to, and you kind of see where we kind of got some better fitting of the bite. So we can go from here to here, and you can do that. We did that all remotely. So heading back over to our presentation, we were able to go from here to here. And every week we were able to communicate what to do. And we also communicated through the app, and we did that in video form at that time. But 3 office visits, exam, delivery, and then a debond. Right. So it's very interesting, the possibilities, and it just kind of turned something on in my brain that said, man, I'm complicating this process. And so what we decided to do as a team is we just got really creative. We wanted to make sure we're still connecting with our patients and truly caring for them. But we decided, and I decided, man, people don't need to see me as much as I think they do. And the mom was just ecstatic. She said, this is the choice way. I would recommend doing Invisalign and dental monitoring over any other option. We were able to treat them a whole country away and still feel connected, and they still felt cared for. And we made relationships, and we were able to do that. And I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So the word care, I want you to focus on that. How do we care for people? Because guess what? You can do it remotely. And you have to craft it in a way that makes sense for you and your team. And it's different for everyone. Focusing on the outcome. My way is not the best way for everyone. So as I have all these offices that I help coach, we tailor it to what each team needs. Is it a big office, smaller office? What's the demographic? How does the team want to interact with their patients? There's not a one size fits all, but the technology will allow you to sift away and automate the trivial many decisions you need to make daily, and let that online virtual assistant let you know when things need to be brought to your attention, and your team can help you get there. Yeah, again, dental monitoring has been amazing partners to get there. And so going all in is my best recommendation to make true change, to go more digital in your office, to make those adjustments to get there. That was definitely the theme of the the dental monitoring summit in the spring and March. And at that at that opportunity, I'm sorry, I don't know why I said opportunity. That course, we were able to, at the summit, I got approached to give a quick, testimonial on my experience with dental monitoring and how it's impacted my life, my clinic, and et cetera. And so we record it, and I just kind of spoke off the cuff, not thinking, and this is the video that came from it. And there's a few doctors in here who are really good friends of mine. I love their message as well. And but something I said in here really was impactful for me, and I'll let you enjoy the video.
My practice was very similar to a lot of doctors across the nation. We were constantly making decisions in the moment, and it was stressful because it was just decision after decision after decision. There was no planning.
We had emergencies coming in. We didn't know what the problems were until they were seated. Sometimes we didn't have time to fix all those problems at that time.
The patient experience was suffering. My team and my family experience was suffering because I didn't have systems in place to focus on the most important thing, which were the people in front of me. It was a moment to make some changes in my life. Implementing dental monitoring, what we were able to do was take our clinic from 130 to 160 patients a day down to 80, maybe 100. And what's interesting is we grew 25%.
I knew all along with dental monitoring that if I could save one appointment, it would pay for itself. Not only am I saving one appointment, I'm saving 3 to 4 on average across my treatment modalities.
Moms had to come to the office less, but yet not feel like you took time away from your patients. It gives time to your patients because you get to see them more often, but it gives time back to the doctor and the staff to spend their life how they want to spend their life.
Dental monitoring, it's giving me the life I always wanted. But what's the most important part about this is that the patients and my team, my wife and my kids get a better version of me.
When I first saw this, it was actually posted on social media, and I watched it, and it hit me. I was like, oh, I said that. And then as I thought about that, one, it was fantastic production. Great job, marketing team with DM. You guys did a fantastic job to portray the message, but the message is true. I'm like, yes, my team, my wife, my kids, my patients, they get a better, more relaxed, happier version of myself because I'm not bogged down with those mundane, trivial, many tasks that cause decision fatigue and frustration in your day-to-day. And that's what this technology does, is it automates processes and makes me a better orthodontist because the computer is much smarter than me. And you miss things, especially in your afternoon when you get busy, right? And it brings the meat to our attention, the vital few things that are important. And us as a team, we can focus on what's important and sift away those trivial many things that bog us down. And that's what it's doing for us. And you get a better version. So take a screenshot of this. What does a better version of me mean, right? I'm able to offload the trivial many tasks to the organization of the DM platform. It automates my digital workflow. It helps bring all my treatment modalities in one location, and we have eyes on it as we move forward. Not just aligners, but braces and all my treatment modalities. It helps me provide better remote care, right? Care, that's that word again, but do it remotely. It helps me also package it in one location for that. It helps me focus on the vital task in front of me, which again, I keep re-emphasizing this. It's to truly care for those in front of you. And it helps me do my motto, to do more with less, but do it better. It helps my team also grow and care for others, because a lot of these tasks that they were having to do is now offloaded also to the platform, and helps us organize that in a better way so they can focus on helping us grow and taking care of people, and making sure they have amazing experiences so we grow organically and we have great referrals right within our patient load. And then it helps me evolve and change with my workflow confidently, because as the platform and the artificial intelligence grows and learns, It makes us all better, right? And it helps me focus on my family, which is the most important part. And yeah, I got some Jack Johnson-ish feel vibe here because this is where it's at for me. That beautiful woman in the middle, my wife, Jamie, and these 5 amazing kids and this family this life we've created. That is where it's all about. And I can truly care for them. And that's what I want you guys to focus on. What is your why? What is it that you want more of? And let the AI and this platform figure out what the outcome is that you want, and then work backwards to get there. And I almost can guarantee dental monitoring can get you there. All right, we're going to shift gears. We're going to talk about the data. And I used to always do this near the end and talk about some like cases and workflows first, but look, let's let the numbers talk because data matters. I'm not a huge data guy, but this quote from Thomas Monson, I really admire this man. He's since passed away, but he said, when performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported, the rate of improvement accelerates. And dental monitoring is amazing at providing data. Dental monitoring insights, as well as other things that you just get along with the whole package. I'm telling you, it's very insightful. I'm not going to go into a ton of insights today. I may touch on it briefly, but it's really, really, really important to measure it and report it. So this is my amazing team here. It's funny. I have this. I'm going to show you this. It's sitting here on my wall right now. I'm about to knock down my calendar. This is our Christmas card. And you can see Happy Holidays. Here we are. And the story behind this photo is I wasn't here the day this was taken. You can tell that they're in clusters of 3 and this was photoshopped together. I come the next day because I happened to be gone. I think I was actually at a dental monitoring meeting. And they're like, bring the suit. We're going to take a picture and we're going to crop it together for a family photo. And I said, great. And I didn't even know how my team dressed. I let them choose how this was going to go. And I get this Christmas card, and the first time I see it, I was like, oh my gosh, like I look like The Bachelor. I was just a little embarrassed, honestly. I was like, man, I'm glad they're not holding a bunch of roses or something. What are my wife going to think, or my referring doctor is going to think when we send this card out? And then as I continued to look at this card, it actually brought me much joy because I see some amazing, strong, confident, beautiful women that I trust and that I love. And they help me provide quality care in every respect to our patients. And they make my life better. And I hope that their life is better as well. And I know what they would tell you if you wanted to ask them about dental monitoring, if we gave them the option to go back how we traditionally did it, I know half of them would quit. So it's my team. And so the numbers and things I'm going to show you, I want to be very clear here. I'm only successful because I have this amazing group of ladies to do it with. And so outcome's important. How you get there is determined on what your goals are. Here's my practice profile. At any given time, I have about 3,500 active patients. So it's a large practice. Right now, we've increased our share of aligners to about 58%. So it's taken us some time since 2020 to do that. We went from 5% to 58% in these 3 years. And so that's kind of where we're at with full cases, limited phase 1. This is our Invisalign growth. We're projected to do about 1,200 cases this year. So that will hopefully bump our share of chair up a little bit more and keep that balance. This is what's interesting. I want you to note down. Look at the trend of how many appointments it takes to complete just per year that we just have. We went from 2018 to last year, and we're about to probably be a little under 1,500 this year. We're kind of at a good sweet spot as we've kind of really calibrated our systems. And so this pretty significant drop off of how many appointments needed for our patients. But what's also interesting, and I'll show you in a minute, is how we've grown in our practice with how many cases we started per year. Here's a little study we did in conjunction with dental monitoring. And these are completed cases. We took 404 cases that were done, completed, and we measured how many in-office appointments it took to finish the cases. Then we took 235 completed cases with braces and measured how many on average it took those. So in total, we had 639 braces cases in here, and we decreased by 10% how many office appointments it took to complete those cases. And you're thinking, well, that's not that significant. Well, it is if you see a lot of braces. And let me just point something out. And to mind you, we did nothing else other than hand a scan box out. And on the cases we monitored, we encouraged them to scan weekly. And we interacted to the app, answered questions, got notifications on things that potentially are not going well, and navigated potential emergency or questions to the app. And as a result, we, in my opinion, that's all that really changed, was we were able to avoid appointments that maybe just questions, meetings, comforts that really weren't comforts. Like if, and I'll show an example of that in a second, but it's impactful when you look at it this way. If we took 14 visits to complete a case, and Gage actually says the national average is 18, 19 visits per case. This is where we're at. 13 visits, we saved just one appointment, right? That's 1,000 appointments over the course of 2 years. Let me be clear. Let's just say you're starting 500 cases a year. In 2 years, you start 1,000 braces cases. In 2 years, you can save 100 appointments. And if you're seeing 100 patients per day, that's 10 days. You get the math, right? So you save 5 days per year. That's impactful. And that's just if unless you're doing 1,000 cases a year, then that's per year, right? That's a lot of appointments. That's a week's or 2 weeks worth of work. Look at this though. Aligner appointments. We took 99 monitored, 135 not monitored, and 135 monitored. These are completed cases. So retrospectively, we decreased by 57% of how many in-office appointments it took to complete these cases. Look at how many appointments and the same sort of thought process and just generalities you potentially could save. What would you do with 40 days? Huh? That's impactful. Okay, this is where I love, and this is where it comes. This is one of my goals. I wanted to decrease how many days per week we were working. We were working a ton, 266 days a year in those two years, 18 and 19. COVID happened, that obviously decreased. Plus, we tried to start changing that. 2021, 2022, look what we were able to do. Less doctor days per year. So I didn't have to come to the clinic as many days. And we decreased how many patients per day. That's impactful. 57 days saved. So per month, that's, like 4 days. So we went from a 5-day work week to like a 3.5-ish. And that's kind of where we're at. So just a quick summary. Share of chair effect, you all know how that works. Share of chair means if you increase, you have this inverse relationship. But when you couple that and you do that with dental monitoring, you save those check aligner appointments. That decreased to how many in-office appointments you need to right away. So that share of chair effect goes faster. It turbocharges the effect and it optimizes the whole performance and experience. So you have to offload and not bring the patient back for those check aligner appointments, or this doesn't work. Then you're just creating more work for yourself as you go. Comfort visits, this is insightful. I'll have to tell you guys, I'm embarrassed to show you this. Comforts were terrible in 2018 and 19. We made some small improvements, but I think we were so busy that we were missing the little things and we weren't perfecting our craft. Plus, we started to do more aligners, so that's impactful. Plus, what you're going to see here is the fact that we're monitoring with dental monitoring, and we're able to make these adjustments as we go. So here's where we're at. That's important, but this is the slide that I would kind of remember. You'll see the blue line go down on how many appointments and the net production go up. That's an inverse relationship. How does that work? Well, we had more time to focus on our craft and improve, right? 2021 was good for everyone, but look, 2022 is still a lot higher than the previous years. So we're maintaining that and we're doing more with less, but better. And we're doing it all because of how we're using technology, which is dental monitoring. Again, that's where we grew in 2021, still had a great year last year. We're still projected actually to break 2022 numbers. I'm still trying to get back to 2021. All right. And again, less days per year. This is my daughter, Zoe. the story goes here that this is the last time I saw her be able to perform as a cheerleader. I didn't know that at the time, but the only reason I was there that day was because we were doing what I call remote doctor days, and we were able to offload so much that I was able to be at things like that I normally wouldn't have been at because we made those changes. And I'm so thankful I got to be there for that. And later, Zoe came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, I want to quit cheer and learn how to run." And so what I want to visit on is some mindset things. And Zoe, she got 20th in state her first year running. She quit cheer and volleyball to do this. And the joke at my house with my wife is, when she told us this, we kind of rolled our eyes like, right, you run, ha ha ha. Like, she was not a great runner at the time, but she surrounded herself with people who were better than her, and she set a goal and she hit it. And then track season just came around and her mindset shifted to a big goal. Well, let me first talk about Roger Bannister and mindset. Roger Bannister in 1954, May of 1954, he set the world record to break the 4-minute mile. He ran it in 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds, the mile. And he did it on poor conditions. And it'd been, never been done before. And the mindset, everybody got close, like 4 minutes, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Nobody ever broke it. It was like, can't be done. It's impossible. Well, what's interesting is he did this, and guess what happened 6 weeks later? Somebody else broke it. They did it in 3 minutes, 58 seconds. And then a month later, 3 people did it in one race. They all raced each other and they all broke the 4-minute mile. And then it just keeps happening over and over and over again. And so that mindset paradigm shift is shifting how we think and how things are going matters. And guess what? Zoe broke it. She did it in 11 minutes, 58 seconds. Oh, that's pretty loud. She set that goal to do it, and she did it. She ran the 2 mile in under 12 minutes. That was her goal. And then guess what happened just 2 weeks later? She did it again. She did it in 11 minutes, 44 seconds. So my point is, we need to change our mindset of how traditional orthodontics is done and move forward, right? And that's how we do that. I'm going to skip over this a little bit because I want to make sure we have plenty of time for questions. But what I want to point out is, the Galapagos Islands, I visited there, did some humanitarian work, but my whole point is evolution, Darwin's theory of evolution, right? Survival of the fittest, natural selection. Well, we know how that story goes with the blockbuster Netflix story. If we don't evolve with changing times and technology and what people want, we'll be a dinosaur. We won't survive the future. And that is where dental monitoring comes in. It's not going away. People want it. They love it. They want that interaction this way. They want to save time to come see you. They don't want to see you as much as you think, just so you know. But when I pull people on why they don't use DM, because I have offices that just don't use it and it's available to them. And they say, it takes too much time to do. Well, that's a load of crap. I'm just going to tell you. It's because you're too uncomfortable to change. If you don't get uncomfortable to evolve or change, then you'll just stay in the past, and you'll natural selection will pass you by, and you'll be the blockbuster of the Netflix story. This is an amazing video of my kids. We're gonna actually pass it by, and I know Sean's like, oh no, we need to watch that. If we have time at the end, I can go back to it. But this is what I want you to if you can screenshot this, to write this down. This is what you have to do if you want to make this work. You have to offload potentially avoidable appointments. I want to repeat that. And I say potentially avoidable, anything that you can check aligners, retainer checks, appliance checks like RPEs, comfort visits. And you need to increase your appointment intervals for braces. If you don't do those things and you use this technology, you will create more work for yourself and it won't work. Okay. So let me be clear on that. You also need to have the whole team bought in. The new patient workflow process, the verbiage, how you measure success. You have to measure it and report the success. You need a DMC, a dental monitoring coordinator. They need to be trained well, and you need to figure out how to find time for them to do that task as you offload in-office appointments. You need to change your schedule template to reflect the desired outcome. We did that. We reduced it to, hey, we only want to see 80 patients a day, and we want less days. We eventually evolved that as we offloaded those potentially avoidable appointments. You can't avoid them all, but the ones you can, which are those ones I'm doing, and then you got to celebrate the wins and help the team see the progress so they stay motivated to put the work in. If you don't make any changes, you will not evolve, and you stay where you're at, and you'll create more work and increase your lab bill. Nobody wants that. And you have to stay consistent, and you can do that and truly care for people. All right, so this is my son Jet. I just threw a scan box at him, and he's in Invisalign, and I just wanted to see how easy it was for him to do it. This is taking his first scan, and it's just very intuitive. It's easy, and the new scan process coming out soon is going to be even better. So this is the point of view of you doing ortho the traditional way. You don't see anything. When the patient comes in, sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's a disaster when you peek around the corner of what the case is actually looking like. You no longer need to do that because you can see every step weekly. And that's what this does. Now take a screenshot of this, note this down. This is where you want, this is where the whole team gets involved. The front desk, treatment coordinator, the doctor, the clinician, the DMC, this is their role with the whole process that I recommend. You want the front desk to start the conversation with the patient, even on the phone if it's possible, before they even come in. The front desk can also do comfort stands when people call in for like a problem, right? They help monitor the inbox. The clinicians, they do the chairside dance, right? The doctor reinforces the importance of it. The DMC manages the dashboard, brings the stuff to the doctor's attention that needs to be looked at, etc. The treatment coordinator talks about it in consult, gets the patient excited about it. The whole team has to do it. If not, it doesn't work, or it doesn't work as well as it could. Here's ScanBox Pro. We all know the amazing things that DM's been able to develop with AI, and how well it works. The braces alerts. Look, we were able to coach hygiene here from getting an alert. We improved on the hygiene. We got an alert for the wire out. I know you know the capability of this. I'm not going to beat it down. Here's what I want you to see though. How many visits would this take for your office? Class 2 on the right, overbite. Like, what is it? What are you going to do? What are your mechanics, right? Some of you may extract teeth, etc. I'm not going to worry about how we do it, but let's look at how we, there's the timeline for her. This is Miss Sarah, right? She's really good at scanning. We actually only bonded the upper at the beginning. We went through, okay, here's all of her, the communication we had throughout here. What I want you to notice is a few things right here. The greens are in-office appointments. The yellows are messages through the AI, through dental monitoring. We document those in our, we use Cloud9, and we're able to communicate that through the app with Sarah. We are able to coach a wire loose, a bracket off here. We were able to coach another bracket off, and then hygiene. And then we had some more in-office appointments to do some detailing and finish up. So in total, we had 11 in-office appointments, and we avoided 3 potentially comfort visits. We did those through the AI in the app. We coached hygiene, and then we also monitored her retainers remotely. What's the value per visit? If you just took a $5,000 case fee, which is average for easy math, 11 visits, the value per visit is $450. That's pretty good, right? That's better than the Gauge national average. If you had 14 visits, it's $350. That's still good. But look at how much you lose per visit by just those 3 extra appointments. You lose $100 for every visit, right? That's plus their time savings of the patient, your time, and everything else that goes with it. This is how it feels to save 3 visits with AI. Money, money, money. Your DMC is essential. How you communicate and how they work is critical. Here's how, our DMC we'd get this alert. Hey, the lower right one, there's an open clip right there. We often can get patients to close that at home and not even have to have them come in. We can do that remotely. Here's our RPE check. Here's a quick look at it. Here's where the patient starts. We can see the occlusal. Actually right here where there's been no turns yet. We give some instructions on how many turns. We get a notification about how many weeks we want to look. We can see right here how many turns, and then my DMC brings it to my attention. She tells me where we're at. I say, great, tell the patient this, do this one more turns, or stop, don't do anymore. And then here's where we would send a little video reflecting what we wanted to say.
Hey, Hadley. Hope you guys are doing good.
And just because it's me, I don't really want to show the whole video. It's a little embarrassing, but how you do these videos, and usually my DMC does these. And think, in fact, we have, here's Callie doing one. So she's actually better looking. So Callie's there. She did that one. But the whole idea is you just grab this right here. When we discussed it, you send video, hit next. And because there I am right now, we would hit record. I would talk through what I need to tell the patient, and then we package that up and it just sends right through the app. All HIPAA compliant. Patient reviews it on their time. It took us minimal amount of time. We communicate what we need to do, and we're off and rolling. And that's an appliance check for me. And it takes no in-office appointments for that. Then we decide when we want to bring them in, and we take action. Customized braces, I'm using Stride right now, Kale Owen. Right here, we go right now 4 months between in-office appointments. We set these passive arch wire notifications. Right now, we got 13 weeks less where we're currently at. We want to know between X amount of weeks, X amount of weeks when this wire is passive. If we haven't met that goal, then guess what we do? We sometimes push that appointment out even further until we get what we need. You can see we went all the way to here without the patient, all the way to right here until we changed wires. Patient didn't scan very well right here, but so we're working on that with the patient. And then we kept going. And then we finally went all the way here. Then we finally changed another wire, right? So we're only in our third wire, and look how much time's gone by. But we've been able to monitor hygiene and the efficiency, and we decided to bring the patient back when they need to be seen. Okay, that's key. So we're doing more with less, but better. And we're avoiding potentially avoidable appointments, or increasing those appointment intervals to relieve your schedule. Okay, I'm gonna kind of bring it home. Just talking about video communication. Oh, I got to show you this case. I just saw this 2 days ago. It's insane. My DMC brought this to my attention. This is a case where you can see right where we're at. This is the overbite. This is where the teeth were. We developed the ClinCheck to reflect 70 aligners, 74, 70 active. And we went through all of these. You can just see beautifully how this tracked and went, and we communicated right here. We do it about every 14 stages. You can see, well, some of these are old. We used to use Loom for this, but we got DM to make it to be in-house. So you're welcome. And that's where you start to see these videos. This is my DMC connecting with the patient here and truly caring for her. And then our most recent one, which is just a few days ago. Now she has an appointment coming in soon for the next stage. It doesn't get any easier than that. And look at how amazing the bite has adjusted. Anyway, I was pretty pumped with this case. And this is how you get in sync with async. You know, if you know, you know. I know. Bye. Avoidable appointments. Yep. Here's just a quick case. We're not going to show you the all the dashboard stuff or the ClinCheck. We used MA wings. If this was a Herbst or a Mara, this would take probably in my office like 16 visits. We did this in 9. MA wings, rubber bands, but we avoided all the in between appointments because we had the app and we could check remotely. Beautiful case. Look at this case of phase 1. We used aligners here. We rolled through this. You blocked out canines and laterals. We got the crossbite, and we got room for all the teeth in. 8 visits, more than I'd really like, but how many is that going to take with a phase 1, right? Face mask, all the different craziness, right? It's impressive. I get this question: when will AI replace doctors? Never. Zelko Relic said it, but those who don't use AI will, be replaced, right, by the doctors who actually do. It's your virtual assistant. This is just a connection, right? This, we see this case. I see this all the time where one set of aligners, we go from September to March, and we see the patient back. We're not perfect yet. We made some progress, but those are the remote checks. You can see on the right-hand side, the communication that it's crazy how much these patients really communicate through the app. You get their whole life story. It's amazing. We're truly caring for people. And then when they come in and they get those answers back, they send you notes like this. It just warms your heart. I didn't do anything. It's my team. I just did a ClinCheck, saw the patient, diagnosed it. When they come back, You're like a rock star. She just gave me the biggest hug and we connect. And I had time to connect human to human and truly care for her and celebrate the progress. And we're making some more adjustments on her smile, but this is just her second visit, third visit in my office. And it's been almost a year. And we're caring for her and we're best friends. And you can do this remotely. Here's some more examples. We get these all the time of like positive interaction. But be focused on the outcome. This is Jet and Luke. These are my boys. This is how we do it right before bed. We got to get the emotion out.
Go get him, Jen.
And my wife's even on board with it. Okay. But the point is, don't give up. You're going to get frustrated on change. Don't give up. Focus on your team. Your team's amazing. And this is my wife, Jamie. She's my light. She's my rock. Okay. This is really our relationship. I'm supporting her, right? But be focused on the people in front of you and truly care for them. If you focus on that and use technology to get there, specifically dental monitoring for your practice, you'll be able to do more with less, but better. Be focused on that outcome. You have to change and you can care for people remotely and you got to go all in and you'll have a better version of yourself as an outcome. And you'll be able to care for those in front of you, which are your family. So thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, hit me up on my email here. And I think we can answer some right now on the Q&A.
Josh, that
Yeah.
was amazing. I got
Not worthy.
Matt sent me a text and asked, would you ask questions? And obviously we go way back, and you're incredible. Like your story with dental monitoring and like everything you've done. I mean, Dana Fender and Scott Law have to be absolutely proud of you. Elizabeth Campbell is going to be reaching out, I'm sure, asking if she'd contract you to help with some of this stuff, because your numbers are impressive. I have like pages of notes, and I've seen you present like, I don't know, 20 times or so, whatever. I want Sean to go through some of the Q&A, but before, I wanted to ask a couple questions, and I know we're short on time, but because we're recording this for my ortho, hopefully it's okay with you if we maybe go a little bit over.
I'm perfectly fine with that. Whatever you guys need, I'm here.
So there's a few questions I want to ask. For those of you that don't know me, with my ortho, my name's David Fitterling. I've been with dental monitoring for a little over 4 years. I do a lot of stuff with special markets and business development, all sorts of stuff. I kind of jack of all trade and master of none, as Josh would probably say. So let's see, where do I want to start with? Okay, so there was a question that came up that said, aligners just make sense, as you pointed out, but how do you make the justification to start monitoring brackets? And before you answer that, earlier this year at the AAO, Dental Monitoring won Technology of the Year award for Dental Monitoring Insights, what we call DMI. You've had a big play in it. You've helped me worth a lot of it. Would you mind explaining a little bit about what Insights is and how that actually does play a factor? Because I think what people, you and I have talked about this a lot, what people think dental monitoring is monitoring, but I don't think people realize we're not a monitoring company. We're a data company, kind of like Tesla. Tesla's not a car company. They're a data company. So would you mind explaining a little bit about Insights, how that works, and how that actually plays more of a factor into like the braces?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I talk to Scott Law about this all the time. We feel like we try to be more of a tech company that happens to straighten teeth and take care of people along the way. And that's why we're a perfect marriage for what our goals are with dental monitoring as partners. So, well, to answer this question, a couple of things. One, look, braces are changing on how we're delivering care with the braces. So if you want to truly go digital and a true digital workflow, well, braces are analog, especially if you're not doing customized braces. So I say, I use the examples. If you're just saving one visit, it's worth it automatically in so many ways. Second is when you're monitoring and we're gathering data, you can perfect your craft even better, because let's, in fact, David, I'll take you to my insights and let's show you. And again, my dashboard's so messy, so I'm a little embarrassed, but it's okay. We'll be friends. I don't know. If you look at my office,
Well,
too,
wait a
it's my
second. Wait a
messy
second.
page.
So you monitor like 4,000 patients or whatever it is. You have 29 notifications. Oh, you monitor 2850 patients. You have 29 notifications.
Currently, that's where we're at. And here's the breakdown: adults and teenagers. Okay. And then this kind of breaks this down. Now, we recently did a cleanup. This is why this looks different, because we had a bunch of old things still on like a light phase that we had to clean up. But here's where the clinical data comes in. So you can break this up. So we'll often look at this with my dental monitoring coordinator and with my lead clinician and say, hey, what are we noticing the most of? Let's just take braces, for example. So I'll go to like my braces protocol.
Pause there for a second.
Yeah.
Go back up and hit the drop down.
Yeah.
Two things I want to preface. One is we are launching a bunch of changes to DM Insights in the next like 4 days. So some of the data actually might be off a little bit, but because we just launched this last fall, so we do have a little hiccup that has been
Of course,
cleared.
David's given
but-
he's the data guy.
Yeah.
But let's just think
Also,
about this. This is how I exercise knowledge, right? We take the data and I take it kind of in this middle ground, like, okay, it's telling us something, but let's dive in deeper and see where behavior needs to change, if it's us or the patient, to make a positive improvement. So if we want to take braces, for example, we could then look down at see different notifications. We can go to like an arch wire fracture, or let's go to bracket debonding, right? That's a common one. Everybody has broken brackets. Well, we can break down to like which scan week over week that's coming off. And if we start to notice trends and where we're noticing the 7s, 6s on both sides, we're looking at lower 1s right here, lower left 3. Those are all interesting things. There's a common theme here, and when it's happening. And then we can start to look at, hey, all right, what are our protocols? Are we, and maybe we can even trim it down to like a clinician. Or let's say we're seeing certain brackets break at certain timelines. Maybe we'll start to send notifications out to the patients at certain timelines to remind them, hey, avoid those hard, sticky, chewy, whatever foods, because your teeth aren't hurting anymore. It doesn't mean you can't, you got to watch your diet, right? Those are the types of things we use it for. And it's very helpful.
Would you do me a favor and click on that third? No, whoa, go back. Let's go back. Let's go to bracket debonding.
Sure.
And go up to the top where it says last 30 days and open that up to like last 365.
Yep. So that was the last 30 days.
I haven't looked at your data in a while.
Yeah. So we got work to do.
So there's
Always.
so there's your trend, but you've leveled off a lot of your braces, because you can follow the trends and you can create messaging to say, hey, you're going to break a bracket probably over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. Be careful of what you eat.
That's what data allows us to notice, is trends. And so if we can get ahead of that, then hopefully we can avoid some of those who are reminding patients of this, that, or the other, right? But if it's at the very beginning, we know it's our bad, we need to work on our protocols or isolation, et cetera. And we can go on and on about that. But that's one example. You can go to like aligners, and then we can look at
loss
attachments, what teeth stop tracking is good, and then all of that stuff. But those are the types of things that you can learn from. Then I develop clin checks a little bit differently and learn from it from those respects. But the other thing that is that I tell people all the time: dive in with braces, even if you're analog with braces right now. Save yourself a visit or two, gather data, but then you will at some point probably go digital custom braces. And when you do, you'll be ready because you have a full digital workflow. And then you'll be able to also trim down or extend those appointment intervals, like I showed you on my custom braces with Kale Owen Stride, and trim down to like a 3-wire sequence, 4 months in between each one, or however that needs to be custom to that patient, and communicate just like you are aligners in between, and still caring for the people through remote care, the platform, and really diving in that way. I just had a patient today that we changed wires on, and we've only done 2 wire changes, and it's been like, I don't know, like 8 months, because the first wire just kept working. It was crazy. And we just kept going. We put it to like almost 20 weeks before they came back for that second wire. Now we're going. And so it's just super interesting what you can do and still care for them week over week. It's like a checkup weekly. It's awesome.
I think to answer the doctor's question that asked about monitoring brackets versus aligners, because aligners make sense. Before I turn this over to Tracy or Sean to kind of go through Dr. Pale and a couple other questions, especially around scheduling, because scheduling is a nightmare. There's a couple conversations that I had over the other day, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Josh, where you said digital brackets are probably the wave of the future. I think we all can agree with that. Chris Benson will talk about digital braces. Dental monitoring allows you to take analog type braces and move them into more of a digital. And one of the things I talked with the doctor about the other day was open doors. And we uncovered that it was actually the tool he was using to close the doors that was allowing them to open back up during treatment. And I'm not going to name the bracket system. And another issue that we ran into with a twin bracket system was O-ties. They kept cutting at the 4s and 5s. So we've had doctors that use those particular brackets wire tie the 4s and 5s. And I think that hits the nail on the head of what you're talking about.
Well, and then you save those potentially avoidable appointments that you don't have to do anymore because you don't have those emergencies of those situations.
So you talked about the like there's 3 types of appointments: patients that need to be touched, patients that need to be seen and heard from, and patients that you just need to talk to. The goal is to eliminate the last 2 and focus on the one. Would you mind talking a little bit about the patients that need to be touched and how that affects like repair visits and whatnot? And then if Sean or Tracy could answer the remaining questions, that'd be great.
Great. So yeah, I mean, if we're doing braces and we're ready for a wire change, well, we got to have patient in to do that. It's like a physical, we have to do the work. Those are things that people, we have to put our hands in the mouth to do the work. Look, a lot of people just have a question like, oh, I forgot where my rubber bands go. How many times have you had a patient come in and they're just like, I just couldn't remember how my rubber bands. And you're like, okay, what are we doing here? You can just do that through the app, right? We can draw a picture on that, remind them where the rubber bands go. Or there's like, oh, this just, this wire shifted a little bit. And we can look on the app and be like, well, is it bothering you? That's actually good. You're good for your next visit, right? You don't have to come in for that. Answer questions. And then we intentionally, like if I do a longer interval, like I want the patient to be spoken to by a human, like somebody from my office. And that's for the patient experience. But I also don't want to have to connect with them over the phone. That's a nightmare. They're still busy. Even getting on the phone call, you can't get people on the phone anymore. And then try to do a video chat, even harder. And we like half dressed or something, like it's awkward, So we just use async visit. I showed you just now. You hit the video feature, you say what you want to say, you act like they're right in front of you, and then you send it to them. They can watch it on their own time and they can answer questions back. And if they know, I tell them all the time, if you want me to call you, you tell me when is the best time to reach you, I'll call you. They never call me because my team's really good at answering their questions, and we do it async. We do it on our time and they listen and respond on their time. It's beautiful.
Josh, thanks so much, man. That was incredible.
Cool.
Tracy or Matt, if you guys want to go through some of the questions, thank you so much.
I've got you. So Dr. Adcox, we have 5 more questions.
Sure.
Both of these first 2 questions are from Dr. Pale. And so she asked, can you please go over your schedule for reviewing all of the virtual simulations? Do you dedicate a full day, or do you sprinkle hours of admin time throughout your week?
Great. This is a very important question. And this is a song and dance I do with my DMC all the time. I've decided, and offices do it differently within our organization, but my best recommendation is to do it during your work day. I don't like homework. I don't like doing it after work, and I don't like it doing it on a day that I could potentially have off. Now, once in a while I will, but what I do is, I'm going to show you guys. Well, I wonder if it's on this light bar that I had up way up here. Maybe. So here's a light bar, right? Well, I actually have one. Oh, yeah, see, it says virtual right here. That's my virtual column. My DMC, when she's ready, she'll get on, let's just go back to the dashboard. She'll get to the dashboard and she'll have up just along the whole top, multiple tabs of different patients, of things that I need to go over with her. And so when she's ready, and let's say we have let's just see, we got some notifications right here. So tomorrow, the inbox is pretty cleared up. This is already building up because we just finished work a couple hours ago. It's already building back up. She got it cleared out. So we'll go to this patients reached aligner number 14. That's a trigger for us to take a look. And what she'll do is she'll have that ready in a few minutes, just like it's chairside. And she'll say, hey, this patient, Stacy's at this point of her treatment. She's 14 of 46. And she'll just run down the list of things. And if there's something particular that I need to see or know or understand, and then I'll say, great, this is what I want the patient to know. And then we'll move on to the next one. And we'll go through each tab that she has prepared for me, and we'll get as much as we can. So she puts her call on like another patient. We get as much as we can. Then I go back to clinic, keep doing my day. And then I treat it like they're patients, because they are. I give them my attention. And then Callie, my DMC, hits this record button herself. She does the video. She speaks on my behalf, packages that back up, sends it through the app, writes a note in Cloud9, and away we go. So we've calculated it that Callie needs to be able to handle 3 columns worth of like notifications and potentially avoidable appointments that would have been in the office. She actually does more than that, but that's like the trade-off. If she's going to work just on that, that's what that does. Now you have to build to that. Right? In the beginning, she only worked about 2 hours based on how many notifications we got. And then it grew more. And so we just blocked out our template to have her have time to do that. And then the time not, then she was on our column seeing patients. And eventually that flip-flopped as we offloaded in office appointments. She had time to be able to focus more on remote care. And we did that. Did that answer the question?
I think so. If not, Dr. Pale, you can actually put an additional question in the Q&A if that works for you.
Was there more to that question? Because I felt like it was 2 questions.
Well, we have a second part. So she said, do you issue appointment times for check-in, or do you have a dedicated staff member that reaches out to patients to make sure they are submitting everything at the appropriate times?
So do we mean submit things like what say the question one more time? I'm so sorry.
It says, do you issue appointment times for check-in? And I think these are for the
I
virtual.
get what you're saying now. So it doesn't go on my schedule for my aligners. So for example, we go chairside when we deliver a case. This is good stuff. You guys are getting all the secret sauce right here that we've taken painstakingly a lot of time and mistakes to go. We go protocols. We go, and your implementation specialist can help you with these things. They're amazing. You go to aligner number reached, and then I have a standard that's like 14, 28, 42, and that's part of my protocols. But if my last active is like, say, only 10, then we change this number right here to say 10. And then we hit save, and then you can see that what the DMC does is to create an async video, send to the patient, review the scan, set the next steps in our Cloud9, which is our patient software, and et cetera, right? And so when you do that, I'm not going to hit save here, but when you do that, then when just like this, you just saw this alert, we got this alert that said, hey, patient hit that number. Then we do that number, because that's when I usually would bring the patient in the office. Now, this patient, as you notice right here, has an appointment in September, because what I do is I go to the last active aligner, which is, for this case, it's 42, because I always have 4 passive. We predict around 42, 43, 44 weeks, because we're doing weekly changes. We set an appointment, but Callie, as we can already tell, she's going to need, and I'll probably tell her this tomorrow, or she'll bring it to my attention. She's like, hey, we're probably going to need to push that appointment out further because the consistency of the patient is off. We won't be ready for that appointment or if there's some no-goes, just depending on the behavior of the patient, right? We may change that as we move forward, but we at least have an appointment on the books, but it's not for the remote checks. We let the remote checks be with this. The other way we do this with here or braces is that we hit team instruction. Let's say I want to check in on a patient. I call, our code is an 818, just a remote appointment. I say, hey, and my clinician does this. I don't do it. I tell them, hey, make sure we have this set up. Remote check with Dr. Adcox. They know what that is. We put that, I like to do it as an alert for my clinician. We set this as a future day and time. And then I'll say, hey, I want to do that in like 7-8 weeks. And they count out 7-8 weeks and they hit okay. That's all set up for the future. And that will pop up as a notification to remind my DMC, hey, this needs to be addressed with doctor. And that's a time. There's other things you can just embed into your protocols with your implementation specialist and customize it for your liking. That's how we handle it current state with my office.
Right. So essentially, based on what you like to see, you put into your protocols, and then the AI works for you and then alerts you
Yep.
guys when it needs
Brings
to
the
happen.
things to my attention when I want to see them. And so what we do to document it as a legal document is that, Callie, let's look at our schedule today. Man, I'm showing you guys a lot. This is fun. Go to Cloud9 real quick. Now, I know this needs to be HIPAA compliant, so I'm going to put this in HIPAA compliant mode real quick. So close your eyes for a moment. Let's just go to the schedule from today, and I'll hit HIPAA real quick before we get too deep. All right, cool. So we just see patient numbers, which is fine. Right here, Callie just put, these were, those were deliver retainers. Oh, right here. So this was a cluster of remote appointments she did. You can tell that we communicated around 11 o'clock. I gave her the information. She put a call on right here in the virtual column. I came in, we actually do it remotely. We do it over Teams, just like this, like a Zoom thing, because she actually lives in Louisiana. That's a side note as well. She's truly remote. We connect, I tell her what to do. She packages up, sends it back to the patient, documents these things in Cloud9, actually checks them in as a patient and checks out that it's an official appointment because we gave them information, wrote those notes in Cloud9 so we know what was said, etc. You get the point.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, we're going to keep going. How long were you using dental monitoring when you started changing your schedule with your patients? And how often do you see your aligners?
Great. So I see my aligners when they finish their last active aligner, or if we need to intervene early because of non-compliance or non-tracking, or there's a challenge, etc. Right? So I set up the protocol to start and end, and I see them at the end. And I showed you what was this case, which is just crazy amount of aligners. Where did it go? Anyway, I showed you that crazy one. But what was the other part? The first part of that question? I answered the last part of it.
Yeah. How long were you using dental monitoring when you started changing your schedule with your patients?
Right away. We did it out of necessity. You got to remember, I came right out of COVID, so it wasn't kosher to see so many patients in one day. Plus, we were on a skeleton crew with team members. So we just changed it naturally because of that, and we just never went back. Now, this is how I coach it, being the clinical director of remote care for the whole organization. When we go and implement in a new office, then we say, great, your DMC gets this much time because you don't have any notifications yet. She's still going to work, he or she's still going to work a chair. Here's our goal. Let's start changing your template in about 3 months, because that gets enough cycle of your current patients to cycle through. And let's go ahead and just change your kind of template or the idea, and let's reduce like a half a day on a column or whatever, based on how much share of chair aligners versus braces you are, because that depends on what you can offload or not. Your retainer checks, appliance checks. You got to just look at those. I listed them, the potentially avoidable appointments that you can offload to, remote, and see how many of you have. So we run reports through Cloud9 for, that's the software we use, and we decide, okay, how many could we potentially avoid?
Yeah.
And if we started doing that right away, what would that look like? And then we retemplate a schedule to reflect the outcome.
Right.
So it's different for everyone. It's hard to say, but like we went right away, but we typically start like 3 to 6 months. You're going to start to see that retemplate, but you have to stick to actually not scheduling those patients back, because if you do, then you're just creating a lot more work.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you said it best when, you just start from the very beginning and that's what you're doing because that's when you're actually seeing the result the quickest.
Yeah. And you really start to feel it 3 to 6 months after that. And then after a full year, you'll really see it, but you have to make changes, adjust the template, stick to it, and measure and report and celebrate the wins.
Right, exactly. There was a third part to this question. When do you see your braces patients? Or
So, oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna add to that. Have you extended like typical treatment time or appointment intervals for them?
So I already had long intervals between, well, we all think we are pretty good at our intervals. And then when you really look at it, you're like, you're not that good. So I thought I was like a 10-week interval, right, on average. And I was more like a 6 to 8. Okay. So whatever you think you are, you're probably 2 weeks less, just so you know. And it's data doesn't lie. And so what I started to do is my initial wires, especially with like a KLON where we're just leveling and you can watch the passivity, we just increased those intervals by 2 weeks. And that really freed our schedule up as well. If you think about it, especially in those night tie wires as you're leveling, usually those wires can work longer. We just change them because we just want to do something when the patient comes in. You can let it go longer. And believe it or not, your O ties will be just fine, by the way. They don't need to be changed either. It's a interesting concept, but that's me. So intervals is where you really gain it with braces. Now I tighten up those intervals at the end of treatment because we're just trying to do little tiny details and get out. But the goal here is to finish on time and do it in the least amount of appointments possible, and also increase those intervals at the beginning so your schedule and templating works out for you in your favor.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. 2 more questions. Since you mentioned it's another increase to your overall lab bill, how do you justify the expense of monitoring braces cases like Light Force or Stride or Damon or Twin?
The only way you can do this, and I'll be very clear here, is you have to offload at least 1 appointment or increase your intervals. You need to be more efficient. If you're not being more efficient and decreasing how many appointments by at least 1 or more, you're increasing your lab bill. So that's just with normal braces. Now, if with custom braces, because they call like, I don't want to talk bad about Light Force. I think it's a fantastic product, but it costs too much. You'd have to decrease almost half of your like aligners, in-office appointments, in my opinion, to make it make sense. Hale Owen is half that. The lab bill is half of Light Force. And so for us at Smile Doctors, we're testing that because economically it makes sense, but we're only going to let offices within our organization use it if you're going to use dental monitoring with it and offload at least 2 or 3 appointments, which you can, and we're proving that you can, because we're avoiding the potential repos and wire bending because it's a custom setup. And so you can see the math. You decrease those extra appointments and we increase those intervals to make sure the economics work out. And what's interesting is Chris Benson says this. He should say it more clear, but if you listen to him closely, he's like, if you're not decreasing, he talks about staffing, decreasing that, but honestly, you got to also decrease how many in-office appointments, because that's going to kill you too. You can't do it in too many appointments or else that doesn't make economic sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we do have some pretty strong Light Force users as well. And one of them comes
in our organization.
Yeah.
But they have to offload appointments to make sense.
Right. And the one that I know, he's eliminated 6 appointments on average for Light Force cases. So that's when it's worth it. It's just doing it. That's the biggest case. One more question. How much time are you as the doctor spending monitoring the dental monitoring? Do you have someone in the office doing it? Explain the DMC role, please.
We kind of touched on the DMC role, right? Callie's, she's another clinician, right? But she's dedicated to the remote aspect. So my dental monitoring coordinator hits this box every day. I'll just kind of roll through her day to day. She's actually going to first start her day understanding some basic metrics. Some of it's in DM Insights. Some of it I make her pull in a different way. But she's going to go over, hey, who took their first scan? How well our percentage of late scans are going, the things that matter to make sure we're being successful with our patients remotely. And then we celebrate the wins of anything that we were able to accomplish with an offload with dental monitoring from the day before. So like we have another one that just popped up as we were sitting here. We have two more. Patients reached number 42 of their monitoring. And so those are notifications that are done, and then she'll celebrate. We'll offload this many potentially avoided appointments, and the clinical team loves it because they're like, "Sweet, that was less work for us." Okay.
Right.
Then she takes that and she packages up all these columns right here of these things that the doctor needs to see, and we've dedicated. She knows what those are because there's instructions here on what those are and what to do, and we just know. And then we use Cloud9. She puts herself on the virtual column here. It's flashing for me to connect with her. We connect, we try to do as much as we can of them. Hopefully we do all of them in that sitting. There'll be some days we'll go over 20. And there'll be some days we go over 3. Depends on the day, what I need. We've dedicated it's like recession, an infection, something like, hey, we're tracking. What do you want to do? Do I ignore this tooth or not? These remote check-ins, like I want to dictate what I want the patient to know from Dr. Adcox, and she speaks on my behalf. Then packages all those up through the app, whether it's a video form or just messaging, and then documents in Cloud9, et cetera, and goes through that through the day,
Right.
as well as running other reports and cleaning things up and et cetera, the inbox, answering questions to patients, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Well, you have done an amazing job today. We are out of questions. I do want
One
to
thing,
bring
Tracy.
on-
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I want to
Yeah.
make this clear. Sorry to interrupt you. My time, though, it needs to be very little. It's just like what I would spend chairside time. I'm not going to do homework, and I'm not going to go look at this. In fact, I don't ever look at the dashboard. This is one of the first time I looked at it in probably a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
That's my team. I trust them to do it and bring it to my attention. So just automate the process and have your team only bring the things that need to come to you. And then for your DMC, you let the AI bring those things that are most important to her to not give extra tasks there too. So I just want to point that out. Sorry, Tracy.
No, absolutely. Totally understand. So we have one more person. So I'm going to bring Matt Miller up.
Mhm.
He has some things that he would like to share with you guys.
Hey guys, I just want to say thank you so much for Dr. Adcox for coming on and giving such a impactful conversation. Thank you again for everything. As a thank you to the My Orthos crew for bringing us in for this master series, just wanted to extend a couple promo opportunities for you guys. There's two opportunities. For the months of May, June, and July, any new practice with My Orthos that decides to sign on, we're going to extend the opportunity for you guys to join on with dental monitoring for $7,500. That will cover all training, implementation, onboarding, everything, as well as hardware and monitoring for the next 4 months. So for months of May, June, or July, any practice decided to sign on gets 4 months invoice free at $7,500. That includes all hardware and monitoring. Dr. A, you can probably just salivate at that opportunity. I'm sure as a new practice coming on board. So anybody that's looking forward to this opportunity, feel free to reach out to your local account executive or myself or David Fitterling. We can get you guys set up. That's opportunity number one. Opportunity number two is for the current users of dental monitoring within the group. And for the months of May, June, July, and August, any practice starting braces monitoring within their practice, for every 12 braces patients you bring on into your monitoring umbrella, you're going to get 12 free scan boxes for free. So every 12 increments, you're going to get 12 free scan boxes for every braces case you start. For every 12 braces cases you start, you get 12 free scan boxes. So 12 braces cases gets 12 free scan boxes. 26 cases, it's going to get 24. We ship everything in 12. Sorry about that. But the idea is let's get this going within your practices, see the data, see what this means for your practice, see what it means for your patients, and let's just get this going as fast as we can. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me or David, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Absolutely. All right. Dr. Adcox, thank you once again. You did an amazing job. It was a beautiful presentation. This was actually one that I have not witnessed myself. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Free to answer any questions anytime, just email me. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much.
Josh.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.